It was still pitch dark outside when a loud, explosive knock hit my front door. My heart suddenly leaped in my chest. I glanced at the clock. It was exactly 5:02 in the morning. No one knocks like that at this hour, unless it's a message of death or destruction. My hands were shaking as I quickly pulled on a sweatshirt and headed toward the door. With every step, my heart was pounding hard. When I opened the door, my neighbor Nathan Reed was standing there. His face was deathly pale, his eyes wide with fear, and his breathing was rapid, as if he had run the entire way. Sweat was glistening on his forehead. "Don't go to work today," he said in a trembling, low voice. "Stay home. Just trust me on this, Emma." I stood there staring at him in shock and horror. Nathan had always been quiet, polite, and kept to himself. He had moved into the neighborhood a year ago, and apart from that, we had never even spoken. Today, he looked completely broken, as if his very soul was trembling. "Nathan, what are you saying?" My voice clearly carried fear. "What happened? Why are you so panicked?" He shook his head slowly, but his eyes were sharp and alert. "I can't tell you anything right now. There's no time. Just promise me that today you won't step foot outside the house. Not for any reason." In that moment, everything was rushing through my head. The cold morning air was cutting against my face. A faint pink glow of sunrise was just beginning to appear on the horizon. And my neighbor, who never showed any emotion, now looked like he was fighting his own fear. Tears came to my eyes. "Nathan, you're scaring me. Please tell me. Why shouldn't I go to work? Is there some kind of danger?" He stayed silent for a moment. Then his voice dropped to a whisper, as if the walls themselves had ears. "By afternoon, you'll understand on your own." Before I could ask anything more, he stepped back, glanced fearfully in all directions down the dark neighborhood streets as if someone was watching us, and then quickly walked toward his own house. He never looked back even once. I remained standing at the door, my hand still gripping the handle. A strange chill was spreading through my body. One part of my mind was saying that maybe he had gone crazy or had some kind of breakdown. But the other part of my heart, the part that always trusted instincts, was screaming not to ignore him.
And there was another reason. 3 months earlier, I had lost my father. His death had been sudden and merciless. The doctor said it was a stroke, but in the days before, he kept telling me, "Emma, I need to show you something about our family. It's time for you to know the truth." When I would ask, he would just smile and say, "Not yet, soon." Then one day he went silent forever. After that, strange things started happening around me. A car with tinted windows would sit in front of my driveway for hours. At night, I would get calls from blocked numbers, but no one would speak. My little sister Lily, who lives abroad, kept calling and asking, "Emma, has any new person come around you?" No one said anything directly, but I had already sensed it. Some shadow was spreading around me. Some quiet, carefully planned scheme was in motion. My name is Emma Caldwell. I'm 33 years old. I work as a financial analyst at Henning & Cole Investments. I have never missed a single day of work except when I was seriously ill. I live alone in the old house my grandmother left me. My life has always been organized, calm, and predictable. But today I made a decision to trust Nathan. Not out of fear, but because of that strange voice inside my heart that said if he was wrong, it would just be one day off. And if he was right, maybe I would save my own life. I texted my manager that I couldn't come to the office today due to a personal emergency. Then I started waiting inside the house. The hours were passing very slowly. Every sound, the ticking of the kitchen clock, the hum of the fridge, the whistling of the wind outside, felt like something was trying to speak to me. My heart kept beating fast. By 11:30, I was starting to feel like a fool. Maybe Nathan really was confused. Maybe nothing was going to happen. Then suddenly my phone rang. Unknown number. With shaking hands, I picked it up. Hello? A calm but authoritative voice came through. Ms. Caldwell, this is Officer Harlan from the County Police Department. Are you aware of the serious incident that occurred at your workplace this morning? My blood ran cold. What incident? The officer took a deep breath. There was a violent and planned attack at your building. Several employees are badly injured. We have evidence that you were there. My legs began to tremble. I grabbed the edge of the table so I wouldn't fall. This is impossible. I've been home since morning. I didn't go to work. Silence. Then the officer said quietly, we have security footage showing your car entering the parking lot at exactly 8:02 a.m. Your work ID was used. Security saw you on the 3rd floor for the last time. My mind spun. Someone had stolen my identity. Someone had taken my place. And someone wanted the whole world to believe that I had been there. If you want to know what the officer told me next, what Nathan was trying to protect me from, and what happened to me that afternoon, go ahead and subscribe right now and comment where you're listening to this story from, because what happened that afternoon didn't just change my life. It also made it clear that today I was not supposed to survive. Officer Harlan's voice was completely calm, but underneath it there was a strange sense of urgency and caution that was echoing in my ears. This wasn't any ordinary call. This was the call that was going to shake my entire world. Ms. Caldwell, the officer said in a slow but clear tone, your colleagues have stated that you entered the building this morning. The security logs clearly show your keycard being used at exactly 8:02 a.m. We have time-stamped footage of your car entering the parking garage. My heart suddenly seemed to stop in my chest. The phone started shaking in my hands. I pressed the phone tightly to my ear, my voice trembling. This is completely impossible. I've been home since morning. I decided not to go to work today. There was a heavy silence for a moment. Then the officer asked the question that sent a wave of ice through my body. Is there anyone who can confirm that you were at home? I looked toward my empty living room. A deep, accusing silence hung over the house. My knees began to feel weak. No, I whispered. I live alone. The officer's tone immediately became formal and cold. Ms. Caldwell, at approximately 11:47 a.m., an emergency alert was triggered on the 3rd floor of your building. A planned, violent attack took place. Several people are injured. You're being reported as missing from the scene. We're looking for you for your own safety and for questioning. My breathing became tight. Questioning? Why are you questioning me? I didn't do anything. This time the pause was long and heavy. It seemed like the officer was choosing his words very carefully. Some evidence was recovered from the building. A few items connected to you were found near the incident. My mind went completely blank for a moment. My items? What were my things doing there? At that exact moment, Nathan's face suddenly flashed in my mind, his deathly pale face, his trembling hands, and that desperate voice. Don't go to work today. Someone was orchestrating all of this, and I was the central figure in the plan, either as a corpse or as the criminal. I tried to steady myself and said with as much strength as I could put into my voice, "I swear to you I wasn't there. Someone must have cloned my keycard, or maybe—" Suddenly, a terrifying thought struck my mind like lightning. My voice stopped. "My car, in that footage. Did you see who got out of the car?" The officer replied in a slow, almost regretful tone. "The footage has been tampered with. The face isn't clear. All we can see is the car entering, and your license plate is perfectly visible." My pulse began racing. Whoever had done all this had access to my car, or an identical one. My identity hadn't just been stolen, it had been completely replaced. I glanced out the window. The scene outside now looked suspicious to me. Was someone watching me? Was someone standing outside my house, waiting for me to make a mistake? Before I could ask anything more, the officer said, "Police units are already heading to your address. Please do not leave the house. We're coming for your protection." But my instincts were screaming. This wasn't protection, it was an arrest. As soon as the call ended, I quickly closed all the window blinds and double-locked every door. My breathing was now very fast and shallow. Every strange moment from the past few weeks was spinning in front of me. The man staring at me from the car parked on the street, the unknown emails, the feeling of someone sneaking into the house and going through my things. This wasn't madness. This was a carefully planned scheme. Suddenly, there was a sharp, controlled knock at the door. It wasn't soft like a neighbor's knock, nor panicked like someone in danger. This knock was deliberate and powerful. I held my breath and went completely silent. A second knock came. Then a familiar voice said, "Emma, it's Nathan. Open the door. We need to talk right now." My chest started rising and falling rapidly. I slowly moved closer to the door but didn't open it. "How did you know the police would call me?" I asked in a trembling voice through the wood. Nathan's voice came from outside, low but firm. "Because they're not coming to help you, Emma. They're coming to take you into federal custody. You weren't even supposed to wake up in your bed this morning." My head spun. I grabbed the door handle. "What are you saying?" "They staged the whole thing. The plan was to eliminate everyone in the building. And you were supposed to be there, not as a victim, but as the person who would take all the blame." He took a deep breath. "Now they want to keep you alive so you can confess to something you never did." A horrifying truth crashed over me. They didn't just want to kill me. They wanted to erase me and present me to the world as a villain, as a terrorist. I slowly opened the door. Nathan immediately stepped inside and locked the door behind him. His eyes were locked onto mine, alert and sharp. "They're on their way right now. You only have a few minutes before they turn this house into a crime scene." I crossed my arms over my chest, holding back the tears in my eyes, and asked, "Why? Why me?" "Nathan, please tell me what's going on." Nathan glanced out the kitchen window, then lowered his voice even more. "Emma, I didn't move into this neighborhood by accident. I was sent here to watch over you. Your father asked me to." The words stabbed me like a knife. I took a step back. "My father, he was just an ordinary accountant." Nathan looked at me, his gaze filled with pain and seriousness. "Your father was never in finance. That was just a cover. He had been involved in a secret federal investigation for 20 years. And you were the biggest reason for that investigation." My mouth went dry. My heartbeat was pounding in my ears. Nathan reached inside his jacket and pulled out a small black envelope, then handed it to me. Your father knew this day would come. He left this for you. My hands were shaking badly as I opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter from my father. My dear Emma, if you're reading this letter, then everything I feared has already happened. You are in danger, but none of it is your fault. You are in danger simply because of who you are. There is far more to your identity than you know. Nathan will tell you the rest. Trust him the way you trusted me. Never let them turn you into a weapon. If they catch you, you will disappear. Your father. Tears streamed down from my eyes. My father had known. He had been preparing me. All those times he said, "Not yet, sweetheart. Soon." They had all been warnings. Nathan said softly, "They're not just framing you. They want to take you back." Take me back, I repeated in a trembling voice. You were never an ordinary girl, Emma. Your birth wasn't an accident. Your entire identity was created. Your father had exposed a secret biogenetic program connected to powerful families. When he refused to cooperate, he became a threat. His death was not natural. My eyes widened. And now, what did they want to turn me into? Nathan looked deeply into my eyes. As a scapegoat, a fake tragedy in which you will be presented to the world as a dangerous criminal. In the distance outside, the sound of sirens began to echo. Nathan immediately looked toward the window. They're here! But there was no fear in his voice. And in that moment, for the first time since this morning, a strange kind of strength awakened in my heart instead of fear. I pressed my father's letter to my chest, put the key card in my pocket, and looked at Nathan with a firm voice. Let's go. Tell me where we need to go. Nathan nodded once. In that moment, I crossed the line between my old life and the world of truth. Before I even got into Nathan's SUV, two unmarked black cars appeared at the corner of our street. The sirens were now off. They didn't need sound anymore. They weren't coming like law enforcement. They were coming like people retrieving something. Get in now, Nathan ordered. As soon as my door closed, he started the engine and sped the car forward. The tires screamed against the road. In the rearview mirror, I saw two men step out of the black sedan. Their faces were hard as stone. One of them raised a radio to his mouth and said something. His gaze wasn't like he was looking at a person. It was like he had come to retrieve a valuable piece of property. As we raced onto the highway at high speed, a strange calm began to settle over my body. The fear was gone now. What remained was a clear, crystal-like clarity. Something inside me had changed, as if an old key had finally fit perfectly into the right lock. After nearly 20 minutes of deep silence, Nathan spoke softly. There was seriousness in his voice. Emma, before we reach the vault, there's something you need to see. Once you see it, you'll understand why they've been watching your entire life in secret. He pulled a tablet from his jacket and handed it to me. A file was open on the screen. The label read, Subject, Emma Caldwell. Designation, Genomic Asset 7B Project, Origin Initiative. High priority. I scrolled through it. My heart was pounding faster with every line I read. Gene expression charts, blood markers that are never found in ordinary humans. A note. Subject shows complete immunity to multiple viral strains. Potential regenerative blood properties. Approved for Phase 2 integration. My throat went dry. My eyes grew moist. What is this, Nathan? Regenerative? What am I protected from? Nathan kept his eyes on the road, took a deep breath, and said, 20 years ago, your father exposed a secret biogenetic program backed by the government. They weren't trying to cure diseases, Emma. They were trying to create a new generation of humans, people who could survive plagues, chemical attacks, and wars. I gripped the tablet tightly. The light from the screen fell on my tear-streaked face. My father, was he involved in it? He was never supposed to be involved. There was pain in Nathan's voice. He stumbled upon the program when he noticed too many inconsistencies in your childhood medical records. He found samples of your blood taken in places where he had never given permission. He realized you were being studied without his consent. He paused for a moment and looked at me. He tried to get you out of the program, but that wasn't an option. When he leaked the program's existence to a high-level federal board, the board ordered the project shut down, but the people above them erased the investigation instead, and every person who knew the truth. Including my father, I said, my voice shaking. Nathan nodded. His eyes stayed on the road, but his voice carried grief. They made it look like a stroke, but in reality he was killed with a neurotoxin developed from the same program. His death was a warning. I closed my eyes. Tears flowed freely. For the first time, I saw my father not as an ordinary, quiet man, but as a father who had sacrificed his life to protect his daughter. Nathan continued softly. They had planned to take you back on your 33rd birthday, but your blood test last month triggered their system alert. That's why they staged the attack at your office today. If you had gone, you would have either died there or been made to disappear. I asked, my voice filled with pain. And now? Now they will publicly label you as a dangerous terrorist. Under the Asset Recovery Protocol, they will arrest you as a national threat. But why? My voice was breaking. Why not just take me quietly? Nathan glanced at me. There was sympathy in his eyes. Because they don't just want your body, Emma. They want control over the narrative. If the world sees you as dangerous, no one will question whatever happens to you. We left the main road and turned onto a dense, wooded path. The trees were so thick that sunlight barely reached through. The air was cold and heavy. Finally, we arrived beneath an old, overgrown hill where an abandoned bunker was hidden. Nathan stopped the car and turned to me. His eyes were serious. Emma, now you have one final decision. Once you step inside, there will be no turning back. You will know the entire truth. Your father died protecting this truth, and once you know it, they will never stop hunting you. There were tears in my eyes, but my voice held a new strength. I have spent my whole life being hunted without knowing why. It's time I found out what's inside me that they want to control so badly. Nathan nodded. We got out of the car. As the bunker's heavy iron door opened, a deep, metallic sound echoed, as if some ancient thing had awakened from centuries of sleep. The air inside was cold, untouched, as if this place had been waiting only for my arrival for many years. Nathan led the way. We entered a long corridor with steel walls. The deeper we went, the more a strange sense of recognition awakened in my chest. My body knew this place, even if my mind did not. Finally, we stopped in front of a large vault door. Instead of the Rowan family crest, the Caldwell symbol was engraved on it. Nathan pointed to a scanner on the wall. Your DNA will open it. With trembling hands, I placed my palm on the scanner. A soft light ran across my skin. The vault made a soft sound and slowly began to open. The room inside was circular. Black boxes sat on shelves. In the center, on a glass pedestal, rested my father's old leather journal. My hands were shaking badly as I picked it up and opened it to the bookmarked page. It was my father's letter. My dear Emma, if you are reading this, then all the lies of your life have been stripped away. But the most important thing I want to tell you is this. You were not an accident. You were not anyone's property. You were the first successful proof of the natural evolution of human immunity. They did not create you. You were born with what they have been trying to build artificially for decades. Your power does not come from what was done to you. Your power comes from what you already are. You are the future they fear. Tears were streaming down my cheeks. I turned the page. There were final instructions. At the end of the vault is the master control terminal. Pressing one button will give them what they want, your obedience. The other button will release all of your father's research, evidence, and documents to media outlets around the world. The choice is yours, my daughter, not as a subject, but as a human. I looked at Nathan. He stood there silently. I slowly walked toward the control terminal. 2 buttons were glowing under the glass. Acquisition protocol. Obedience, revelation protocol, revelation. If I pressed the first one, I might survive, but at the cost of my freedom and the truth. If I pressed the second, I would become the greatest enemy of powerful people. I took a deep breath. Then I pressed the revelation protocol button. A deep hum spread through the room. A countdown began on the screen. Data started flowing rapidly through secure channels, names, evidence, financial trails. Everything was reaching media outlets around the world. Nathan said softly, "It's done, Emma. You've changed the world." Suddenly, alarms blared. The lights turned red. "They found us!" Nathan shouted. "Come on, we have to get out of here." As we ran toward the exit tunnel, my father's final words echoed in my ears. "You were not born to be controlled. You were born to show what control really is." When we emerged from the bunker, the night darkness had fallen. The sound of helicopters echoed above. Searchlights were cutting through the trees. But I was no longer afraid. I wasn't seeing them as hunters anymore. I was seeing them as the final, desperate attempt of a dying lie. And I wasn't running anymore. I was fighting. Because I was no longer just a survivor. I was the beginning of the revolution my father had dreamed of. If you also believe that the truth should never be buried, no matter how powerful those trying to hide it may be, then subscribe right now and comment where you're listening to this story from, because this story is not over yet. This is only the beginning.